Had a pretty good life the first part of it, and the last couple of years for her have been a little bit rough. I decided I would reply to your comment because I don't want to give any attention to the negative stuff. I just figured that last video on its own was a little bit out of context, so I wanted to introduce our rescue mare Adira to all of our new followers, and maybe give a little bit more background for those who have been around a while and don't know the full story. And to be honest, I don't even know her full story, so I'm going to share what I do know. And because a lot of what I have heard has been pieced together third hand, I don't want to repeat things that may or may not be true. So please understand the stuff that I do share is either stuff I've heard or, hello baby, that I have observed myself in my own handling her. We adopted her back at the end of November of last year. Our pony had recently passed away from Cushing's, and I had committed to having another unrideable horse here to give them a home. She's 12 and a half years old, and what I understand is that she had a pretty good life the first part of it, and the last couple of years for her have been a little bit rough. She was rescued by a local rescue in the spring of last year, and then she did go out to a family. What is in her medical records that I have is that she was extremely explosive under saddle, and then she was diagnosed as having kissing spine. From what I found out after as I started doing research, she might not actually have been started. I can't confirm or deny that either way, but based on the behaviors that I'm seeing, it certainly would align with that, including when it comes down to basic handling. She doesn't understand the most basic of things like moving off pressure or giving space, boundaries, and she is extremely terrified of a lot of the basic horsemanship tools. She came here in November because my farm and our setup and my background was definitely a better match for her temperament and her skill level. But still, another move in such a short amount of time is definitely difficult on a horse. When she first got here, she was so afraid of being haltered, like she would just run the other way. Now she's obviously halter broke, but she had this fear associated with the halter. So I don't know if that was because she thought it meant we were gonna do something or ride her, or that she's gonna be taken away again. That was the first thing I had to work on with her, was getting her comfortable with being haltered. And now she runs to it. But she's still really scared of a lot of the basic tools. Like I can't even go anywhere near her with my carrot stick. She just explodes. And unlike my other horses or any other horses that I've dealt with, when they start to get uncomfortable, you know, they'll start to fidget and paw and do things to kind of let you know. She goes super, super, super quiet. They're having a lover spat. And I think sometimes that can be mistaken for her being okay. But if you actually read her body language and her facial expressions in those moments when she's quiet, you can see that she's checked out. Her lips get really tense and she gets really nervous. And so that's one of the type of situations where people can say a horse just exploded out of nowhere. And in that video, you can see when I'm showing her the grooming tool, she's doing that with her face. She obviously knows what a shedding tool is, but she doesn't know what it means when I have it. So there's lots of little things we're working on with her to build her confidence, teach her basic handling skills, but all of that starts with her starting to trust me. She's had 4 months to Thanks for your question. It's a great one. You know, one of the biggest objections below is people saying, well, the horse can't say yes or no. That's fair enough in some ways, but the fact is animals know for sure when they don't want something. They can be pretty clear about that. But how to say yes or no is something we have to teach them. Like in the case of my mare in the video that you're seeing there, because she's afraid of people, the way she has said no in the past is a big explosion. So I'd rather teach her to say no by simply not touching my shedding tool or turning away while I'm grooming her. Now, my buddy Scooter here is going to demonstrate this. Now remember, he is trained in this, so I'm not sure how good a demonstrator he's going to be for learning, but we'll try. So when we want to teach them this, we have to sort of separate the ideal of a grooming session from teaching them the cue. Because if we want to get grooming done that day, it's not the time to actually teach them how to say yes or no. I mean, we can. If we get it done, it's a bonus. But when I'm teaching it, I just prioritize the learning of the cue first. And working with a horse's natural curiosity, like I'll just put the shedding blade out to him. And so as soon as he touches it, just from curiosity, I start grooming. And then I'll do it a few more times, and then I do it. And I'll keep repeating that. But let's say he doesn't touch it. Escudo. Now from him, that's a clear no right now, but when he was learning it, it probably wouldn't be. But I won't go ahead and groom him. Well, especially not now since he said no, but even when he's learning it, I won't do it. And then he learns really quickly, well, if I don't touch that, she's not gonna touch me. But also during their grooming session, I want them to have a way to say stop at any time. So the minute they move away from me or move their head away from me, you decide what it is you want it to be. Just something they might do naturally, so it's easy. So the second they do that, I will stop. So through repeated doing that, they eventually learn how to say yes, how to say no, how to say stop. And if you Google cooperative care, you'll see this is a technique that's used on all kinds of animals across all species. It's fascinating. The key is us as handlers need to be consistent so that the animal can trust that when I do this, this happens next. But the inevitable question is, well, what if they need it and they say no? Then what? Well, obviously their health and well-being always comes first. But generally when they're saying no, what I've found is they just need a little bit more time. They might need us to come back later. They might need us to change our approach or slow it down or break it into smaller steps. And for me, I have found putting that time in up front will save me so much more time in the long run and helps build a relationship. But in those rare instances where they absolutely have to have it, like it's an emergency or it is a serious welfare issue, if there's a chance they're gonna say no to it and they have to have it right then and there, then I don't give them a choice in that moment because I don't want to undermine all my training and their trust. But those situations are pretty rare, I find. But I hope that relaxes all the other concerns that you might have seen below where people are saying, well, that I'm just going to let their health and welfare slide. Generally, my animals participate in their health care quite willingly because we have implemented cooperative care. So I hope that covers it. If you have any more questions, just let me know.